Adinda Khalifa Putri. I'm from English Department Students, Universitas Gajah Mada, batch 2019. Here I'll be your moderator for until the end of the workshop. So, welcome to Unsolicited Narrative Essay Writing Workshop 2020. Essay Writing Workshops aim. We want to share tips and tricks on how to write an academic essay that is both engaging and correctly structured. And first thing first, thank you so much to all our media partner, webseminar.id, webinarin.id, infoevent.indonesia, Seminarland, Jules Media, info_event.indo. So, we look to our rundown. Session 1, what is essay writing? What is main idea? And between season 1 and season 2, there will be a quiz. Season 2, understanding thesis statement and how to write it. And also, we will get a quiz. And session 3, idea development for academic essay, and there will be a last quiz. Last but not least, there is a questions and answer session. So, buat kalian yang pengen nanya, bisa langsung maksudnya disimpan dulu, nanti di sesi question and answer, you can ask us, okay? So, this is the guidelines. You need to look at this because this is really important. Okay, number 1 is please mute your mic when the speaker and the moderator is still talking. And 2, participants may turn on their camera while listening to the session, so you can turn on your camera, but please turn off the microphone. Number 3, please use proper words if you are given the chance to present yourself. Number 4, do not share your screen on the meeting. And when it is quiz and Q&A session, number 1, we will use Menti platform, which the participant can access through www.menti.com. So you can just go through the link for now, and then when the quiz wants to start, you can click the code. We will show you the code. And number 2, the participants will be asked to put in a specific code, which will be told when it is time to do so. Number 3, to participate in the quiz and Q&A session through Menti, the participants have to put their name properly and use proper words. And this is our speaker. Let me introduce her. He is a lecturer of English Department UGM, Achmad Munjid PhD. Education background, he got Master 2008 and PhD 2014 from Department of Religion, Temple University, USA. Research interests, Muslim-Christian relation, freedom of religion, religious pluralism and tolerance, religious fundamentalism, secularization, religion and violence, trauma and memory, death and dying, and word literature. So, Pak Munjid, you're ready to give us the new education?
Sure.
Sure, okay. Without any further, let's get started.
Okay, thank you very much, Adinda. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Pak Munjid.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm excited to be with you this late afternoon. I've been talking to my screen all day, and I will talk more until the time 5. Okay, so it's been our new practice today that we stay home and talk to our screen. But indeed, because of our situation, we need to stay home, stay safe, and stay cool. Yeah, we use our time productively by taking this course. I hope everybody is ready and we can make use of our time very productively. So, okay, the committee assigned me this afternoon to share with you some tips, some ideas about how to write a good essay. I already shared with you some of my writing published by Jakarta Post and others. I hope you got a chance to look at them because I will use some of those pieces as example when we discuss the tips and how to write a good essay. But I also already prepare some presentation, so it's going to be helpful for us as guideline for the discussion. I was wondering whether who are the participants because I'm not informed about who are joining and what are their background and what expectation do they want from me. Can you, Adinda, can you tell me a little bit about the participant in general?
So there is name Putra. He is from Malaysia. He knew our workshop through the social media, which is group WhatsApp, and yeah, but he didn't tell us about what he expect about our workshop.
Okay. Anyway, because this workshop is about writing essay, so maybe some of you already have some experience on how to write a good essay. Some of you have more experience, some have less. Some probably is trying. It's all right. So let's start with my presentation. How to present now, and then what can I do? I want to show you the PowerPoint. I'm not familiar with Google Meet. Usually I'm using Zoom or WebEx. What am I supposed to do? Hold on a second. If I want to share with you my PowerPoint presentation, I already clicked the present now. Let's see if you can see my PowerPoint presentation. Yeah. Be patient. Okay. Present now, and then do you see my PowerPoint? Is my PowerPoint in your screen?
Not yet, Pak Munjid.
Not yet. So Adinda, how do I display my PowerPoint? I already clicked the present now, and then what am I supposed to do? Usually it works. Yeah,
Let me try. Let me help you.
Okay. So
okay,
is
maybe I can ask the another.
so most of the participants are from FEB or from outside UGM or where?
It's general, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe some of the crew maybe can help us. Anyone can help us.
You can choose the present now and then choose one of the options.
I did.
There will
And
be-
then?
And then like the whole screen, and then under is one tab of room, and then there's also a window. So you can choose which one you want. You
Then
can
I click what?
your whole screen. Present your whole screen.
Full screen.
Yes.
Present now and then the entire screen. Then?
Yes, and then you can click share and it should be there.
Then share. Okay.
Yes.
So you can see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good. All right. All right, so for about 30, maybe 40 minutes, I will be sharing with you some of the important ideas on how to write a good essay. The title is Exploring Mind-Breaking Ideas for Your Essay. And let me start with this phrase, good trouble. If you are familiar with John Lewis is American senator and also a very important figure in American civil rights movement. If you know Martin Luther King Jr., the icon of American civil rights movement, black people who fight against the American racism, and they're fighting for racial equality especially between the black and the white. American civil rights movement took place in 1965. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot dead in 1965, and John Lewis survived that crisis and became one of the most important American figure. And he passed away only a few months ago, and become a hero of the racial equality movement. He got this very popular word, the good trouble. For him, it's okay to make trouble, but the good trouble. There is a movie about him. The title actually is this Good Trouble. I included in this title the YouTube link, so if you like, later on you can check on that YouTube. And John Lewis says, never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. Why I started with this point? If you want to write an essay, if you are a writer, or you want to be a writer, then the only way for you to be a writer is to write, right? And to write means to find trouble. You can write only if you see there is a problem around you. If you think that we are living in a troubled world, that our reality, the reality around us is not okay. There is something to be problematized. The situation is not normal. If you think that everything is all right, everything is perfect, then you have no problem. And if you have no problem, then you cannot write. So if you want to write, you need to see that the reality around you is problematic, or at least you can problematize what is seen by other people as normal. In other words, you need to trouble your mind. Not only that, you need to make yourself, in a way, trouble, meaning that for you, the situation is not okay, the situation is not normal, the situation is troubling. Then you also need to know the necessary change. If the situation is like this, then what change do we need? How to make that change? Why we need to make change? To write means to find the real problem and to speak up, right? We need to speak to the public about the problem that we see. Therefore, John Lewis said that if you see something, say something, do something, get into trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble, we need to speak up. You can speak up against injustice that you show, against the violation of human rights, about the environmental issues, about public health issues like what we have today, about imbalance relations between different groups, about the poor quality of education, about the poor quality of transportation, about the poor quality of many other things. You need to speak up. And to speak up means you need to find the real problem that you see. Then I wrote here, I speak, therefore I am happy. You will be happy only if you see the problem that need to be fixed and you help to fix the problem. I speak, therefore I am happy. And I'm happy because I speak through writing. You need to write to be happy. Now, of course, if you see the reality like that, there are so many problems around you, right? Just like the picture that I'm displaying here. In our daily life, there are always and there will be always many unlimited numbers of problems. Life basically is succession of problems. One problem, from one problem to another, one problem then the other. Now, if you are bird hunter like this and you saw there's so many birds that you can shoot, what are you going to do? Do you want to shoot all the birds? Or do you want to make sure that you shoot some bird, a bird, right? Although there are thousands of birds, if you're a good hunter, you need to aim your gun at one particular bird. You cannot just shoot all the birds or every bird. If you aim at one bird, you might get more than one. But if you want to shoot all the birds, most possibly you will get none, right? So although there are so many problems around us, we need to aim at one specific particular problem for your writing, right? Otherwise, you will find nothing. You will, like the illustration here. Again, there are so many problems. There are 1,001 problems, even 1,000,001 problems. But you need to know which problem do you really want to take care of? Which problem do you need to help fixing? Which problem do you want to address? Which problem do you want to discuss? because you cannot discuss everything, because it's impossible for us to solve every problem. We need to work one by one at a time. All right? So before you write an essay, you need to know how to pick up a topic. To pick up a topic, you need to know your interest, your passion. What subject do you think you really have passion about? What is your interest? If you like food, then most possibly you're going to write about food. If you like sport, it's good for you to write about sport. If you like politics, it's good for you to write about politics. If you write about painting, art, literature, then it's good for you to write about them. Again, you don't write everything. You need to write something. You need to write about a particular topic. You need to pick up. You make a selection of a particular topic. And how and why you make selection, it very much depends on your interest, on your passion. Everybody has interest. Everybody has passion. They're different. Everything is justifiable. Everything is legitimate. So know your interest, know your passion, and then from there, you will make your interest and your passion will be your lens by which you see the reality and then make a selection of a particular topic. Now, let's say your interest, your passion is about food, right? But even if you already specify, certain subject like food, there are so many things that you can write about food, because in this world there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of food, and food can be approached, can be written from every angle, every perspective. You can write about the history of food. You can write about Middle Eastern food, about Japanese, Korean food, about Western food, about Indonesian food, whatever. Now, in order for your writing to be interesting, to have a specific direction, you need to narrow down the scope. Be specific. When you write about anything, you want to make sure that you write about specific topic. By specific, I mean not too broad, like Indonesian food is still too broad. Or not too narrow. To narrow means, you limit the subject until it's impossible for you to discuss in a long writing. If you want to write about why the Jogjanese food are sweet, for instance, it's probably still specific. But if you want to narrow down that until it's too specific, then you will limit yourself the scope of the discussion. So make sure that your topic is specific, not too broad, not too narrow, for a proper discussion. And when you write a certain subject, a certain topic, you select that subject and stick to it. You don't change the subject while you are writing. Maybe when you're writing something, there's something else, came into your mind and it's interesting, you're excited about it. But if you are, already in a particular subject, then you need to stick to it. You might want to write down any other subject or topic that is of your interest, but for that time being, you need to finish the topic that you already selected, right? Now, after you find a certain topic, not too broad, not too narrow, it's about particular subject, it is your interest, you're passionate about it, and you need to find the right angle. Just like if you are entering, a building, you're entering the building from the right door, from the main entrance, then you will see the structure of the building perfectly. But if you enter the building from the wrong door, you may be entering the building from the back side, then there will be many things that you're supposed to see, but you cannot see. So to start to write, you want to make sure that you find the right angle. You enter the subject from using the right door. You can use any reason. You can write anytime. It's okay. If you have that topic early in the morning and you want to start to write, that's good. If you find a certain topic right before you go to bed and you want to write, then you can start writing the topic right away. You can postpone your bedtime because for me, if I have something in mind that I really want to write, even if I was about to sleep, I will not be able to sleep until I write it down. It doesn't mean that you have to finish the writing right away, but at least you want to write down the topic or the ideas that enter your mind to make sure that in the morning or later on, when you get up, you don't forget about the interesting, the exciting topic that you want to write. First of all, because to write means to find trouble. If you find trouble before you go to bed, for me, I just cannot go to bed. So I have to write it down, at least in few sentences, right? So, and when you like to write, disagreement, argument, polemic, controversy is all right. It's good. Polemic is actually good for your mind. So don't be afraid about disagreeing with others, about different argument with others, etc. To write means to think. And to think, you need to have argument. If you disagree with others, that is a good start for you to have the argument. So disagreement is good. Disagreement is all right. Many of you, or probably everybody here, is familiar with the story of Goldilocks, right? Goldilocks is a story about a little girl who sneaked into the house of the three bears, who happened to be empty because the three bears were out. And then when he entered the building, the house, he tried different things. He tried the big chair, it's too big. He tried the medium chairs, it's too soft. And then eventually he tried the small chair and it fit. But then the chair was broken because of what she did. And then he tried several other things. But my point is that Goldilocks is a little girl who are curious, who want to try many things to find which one fit perfectly for her. So he tried the chair, he tried the soup, he tried the bed, etc. to find which one is, the perfect for her. So when you want to write, you need to try all the things. You need to see different problems. You need to see different perspective. You need to see how people see the problem that you are seeing, etc., until you think that the perspective, the position, the topic, the subject that you want to write is the right one. It's the right one for you because you have passion. It's the right one for you because you have interest. It's the right subject because it's not too broad, not too narrow. It's the right because it's the right one for you because you are entering the discussion of the subject from the right door, from the right perspective. Okay. Setting up the goal. What goal do you have when you want to write about something? If you want to write, meaning that you have certain goal. Let's say you want to write about pandemic, about COVID-19 today. There are so many things that you can write about COVID, about the people's behavior in responding to the pandemics, about government policy, about religious perspective by some groups that is counterproductive or even endanger the whole society, or you want to see it from the perspective of the health expert, or you want to see it from the issue of public education. There are so many things. So when you want to write, you need to know what kind of questions do you have. What are your questions? What kind of question do you want to use to explore the subject? Only if you have the right question, then you will be entering the subject into the right discussion. You know, the right question means the question that lead you to learn more, to know more, to find more information, to understand better the subject matter, the reality. And also you need to know what target audience do you want to speak. When you write about something, in your mind you have imagination about the audience. If I write this, just like when we are speaking, to whom you are speaking to, right? Because the language, if you speak to older, senior people, the language will be different. If you speak to younger people, the language will be different. If you speak to more educated people, the idioms will be different. If you speak to, small children, the way you speak will be different. So not only that you know your question, but also be aware of the target audience that you're supposed to speak to. You need to think a lot. Asking question is thinking. You need to think a lot. But if you really want to write, you don't think too much. Thinking too much means that, because of thinking too much, then you couldn't start writing. You need to think because writing is thinking. But while you're thinking, you need also to start writing. What you need to do is turn on your computer, start writing, write it down. Whatever you have in mind, write it down. All right? Just like when you want to go somewhere, although there will be problems, on the way, but if you know where you want to go, you will get there. If you know your problem, if you know your question, then you know how to answer it. If you want to fix a particular problem, although probably in your mind it's not very clear at the moment, but eventually if you really try, then you will get there. You will fix the problem. You will solve the problem. Now, imagine that when you write about something, maybe you even didn't really know the real answer for your question. The real answer will be found only by writing. If you want to solve the problem of how to make public more comply with the rule under the pandemic. Probably when you start writing, you don't really know what is the answer. But as you're writing, your idea will be shaped, and eventually you will get there, you will know the answer. So don't pretend that you already knew everything before you write it down. In fact, in most cases, we know about something after we finish writing it. Therefore, writing is actually learning. Now, I mentioned here that a good piece of writing consists of paragraph, sentences, words, right? Everybody knew this. Whatever you want to write, eventually your writing will consist of paragraph, sentences, and words. However, those words, those sentences, those paragraphs should be typed. And when you type it character by character. You start writing any article only if you type one by one, the letter, the character. Now, that's the background, okay? Now, any writing will consist of the introduction, and then the main ideas, and then conclusion. What is introduction? For me, introduction is the opening. And in the opening, a good opening should be the first impression, the first decisive impression, right? If your paragraph is boring, then your reader will not read the next paragraph. So whether or not your reader will stick to your writing, it depends very much on the first paragraph. So introduction, the first paragraph should be the first decisive impression. It's the impression that will determine whether the reader will stay with you and read through until the end, or they will stop and read something else. So introduction, the function of introduction is to grab the attention of the reader quickly and strongly. So when you write an introduction, make sure that you want to grab the attention of your reader as quick as possible, as strong as possible. And therefore, you can use provoking questions. For instance, you can start with, did you know that the number of people killed by mosquitoes is way bigger than the number of people, because of the lion, tiger. To say that mosquito is actually more dangerous than tiger, because if you pay attention to the statistic, the victim of tiger or lion in the world is much less than the people who died because of the mosquito. You can use this provoking question, or you can make a bold statement by saying that all the understanding of something is wrong. For instance, today people are very busy talking about Pancasila, for instance. If you can make a very strong claim, bold statement that all the statements made about Pancasila for the past 20 years are wrong, then it's a provoking statement. So the reader will be very curious. Why did you say that? What is your argument? How you support your argument? Or you can use fresh data, valid information from reliable sources that is trusted, then you start with that. Fresh data. For instance, uh, people today are, because of the COVID, we are entering the 6th month. We've been under the COVID for more than 5 months. The number is rapidly increasing, but people's behavior on the street, in the market, in the mall, in many other public places, they are very careless, as if COVID is gone already. People got together, they're doing something that actually is supposed to be dangerous. Now, if you want to present the data to the public, like 6 months ago, only 2 people were infected, and people are so, freaked out because eventually COVID reached us in Indonesia. Only 2 people in the past infected, and the entire country is so freaked out. But today, in Jogja, did you know that today and yesterday and the day before, the number of infected people is 50 per day, only in Jogja. And, for the whole country, our number is approaching 4,000 per day. Some people are not aware of that number. And then if you compare, in March, the first month when we are invaded by pandemic, the number is this. And then in April, the number, increased into double or even triple. And then in May, in June, etc., you saw the statistic, fresh data, to open up the public eye that we are in a very critical situation, and therefore we need to be, precautious because of that. Now, you can start with that as an introduction, make a provocation as very critical and important question. Make a bold statement, but you need to engage the reader's curiosity. You already succeed in grabbing the attention of the reader. So hold that. Make sure that your reader's attention is not fading. Make sure that after you got the attention, you keep it, and then use it as the starting point for further discussion. And therefore, you need to give the clue to your reader where is your discussion going. You see the problem, and then with that problem, you grab the attention of the reader, and make sure that your reader feel that you are going to a certain direction. If the reader think that, you got the attention, but after you got the attention, you don't really know where to go in the discussion, then the attention from the reader will go away. And don't be afraid of short writing. Good writing is not something that is short or long. Good writing is a writing that addresses the topic, the question, the subject sufficiently. And therefore, for the introduction, you need to make it short. Don't make your introduction too long. After you feel that the reader is with you, you got their attention, move forward to the discussion. So introduction should be as short as possible, but as powerful as possible, right? Now, I already shared with you some of my writing published, several years ago for some. Let me show you this. Where is it? Okay. I wrote this, for instance. Is this writing in your screen now? You can see the.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So, for instance, this is the writing that I published for the conversation. The title, actually, my title is shorter, but they make it longer. For a peaceful society, Indonesians must stop using the word kafir to describe non-Muslims. Now, I start from the fact. I don't make a statement. I don't use other instrument, but I use fact. And the fact is that the largest Muslim organization, Nahdlatul Ulama, just got a gathering, and they issue a fatwa, legal opinion, that using the word kafir or infidels to refer to non-Muslim within the context of living as fellow citizen in Indonesia, for them is not appropriate because the word kafir is theological. It's okay to be used in religious discourse, but not in public social life outside religious discourse. Then I start from that fact, because if I use my own personal opinion, maybe too many people will disagree with me, and my position is not strong. But if I use the position of the largest Muslim organization, then I will have stronger position. Meaning that for the reader who might disagree with me, they will think, because this largest Muslim organization has that position. If you disagree with more people. But if this is my statement, then the reader who disagrees with me, they have equal position with me, meaning that my argument will not be as strong, right? And then that's how you get the attention. And also, you have the strong position from the very beginning. Okay, right? That's example. Or a couple of years ago, I also wrote this: the controversy over Merry Christmas. And the title of my piece was "Where is the Fatwa?" Because many people believe that Islam prohibited Muslims from saying Merry Christmas to their Christian friends, Christian neighbor, Christian colleague, relatives and others. But in fact, I couldn't find the where is it? Oops, it's gone. Yeah, actually, all right. Now, when I did some research, I couldn't find the fatwa. Many people say that the prohibition of saying Merry Christmas is based on fatwa by MUI. Then I did some research, and I couldn't find the fatwa. In fact, the fatwa didn't say that, but the fatwa said that Muslim is not allowed to participate in the religious or ritual aspect of Christmas, which is, logical, makes perfect sense. But for some reason, eventually the public turned that into something completely different, that saying Merry Christmas is prohibited. And I couldn't find the fatwa. I couldn't find the legal justification for that. So I wrote that piece. Where is the fatwa? And I also wrote other op-ed for Jakarta Post. Most of them, if you pay closer attention, most of what I wrote is actually something that is polemical, something that public, different group in our public life have strong different position and opinion. Writing something that is polemical is very good because if you are entering polemic, you need to have your argument, you need to have your fact, you need to have your data, and you need to know how to present that data and how to present that argument. So your reader will be convinced, right? And therefore, in our social life, there will always be controversy. There will always be polemic. And to engage in polemic is good for your thinking because you're forced to think deeper. Engaging in polemic is not only you agree with certain group or you disagree with the other group, but you agree because you have your argument. You have your argument because you have fact as supporting data for that, etc. Right? You don't just I agree with this group or I disagree with that, but you have no argument, you have no data, you have fact, and that is not something an author or a writer is doing. Because if you want to write, you need to have that. Okay. Or other example. This is just other example, right? Now, how to present the data? You will have a good writing only if you have the data, right? And also you have the data. If you don't present the data and information properly, then your data will not be helpful. So therefore, presenting the data is very important. First of all, what you need to do is to make sure that you have sufficient information, sufficient data. If you want to demonstrate to the public that our situation under the COVID is deteriorating, is worsening, what is your data? The data, as I said earlier, for instance, in March, how many people died because of COVID? How many people were infected in March, because of COVID? And then how many are in April? How many are in May? How many more in June? How many more in July and August? And eventually until today. If make sure you have that data, you have that information. Not only that, but you also need to know that data, where is that data from? You cannot just have numbers, but it's just taken from anywhere. You need to have that number, specific number, that is taken from reliable sources. It can be from the Indonesian task force for COVID, or from the Department of Health, or from other, news outlet like Kompas or Detik, or particular website for COVID like Kawal COVID, etc. and so on. And after you have that data, you have that information, you need to make sure that you pick only the most relevant. Also, you have plenty of data, you don't put everything in your writing. You need to make selection, the most relevant, the most important thing. Because the reader's mind is not storage, the reader's mind is not trash can. You only present something that is really important, something that is relevant. You can present in chronological way, like to demonstrate the increase of number of the victims, you start from March and then April, May, etc. Or you can use topical arrangement. You know, when you discuss about something, you don't have to discuss chronologically based on the sequence of time, but it can be based on topics, topical arrangement. Now, when you present the data, when you start the discussion, you want to make sure that the readers are on the same page with you. I notice sometimes, it happens among the student, it happens among even the professor, it happens oftentimes that people speak about something without necessarily pay attention or enough attention to whether or not the reader, the audience, are on the same page with him or her. By the same page, I mean the reader, the audience, when you talk about COVID, you want to make sure that the reader understands the word COVID. When you talk about the death rate, for instance, you want to make sure that the reader know the definition of death rate. So from the very beginning, just like when you talk to your friend, if your conversation will go smoothly, then you need to make sure that your friend understands what we are talking about. That the word that you speak is understood, as closely as possible by the target audience. If you need to make clarification on certain concept, then you need to do it early, not later on. In the second paragraph, if you are talking about something and you need very technical concept that need to be clarified, then immediately you have to use definition. If you talk about, let's say, one of the example that I presented is about FBI as Islamic vigilantism, or I wrote about Islamic black market. Now, maybe the reader do not really understand what I meant by black market, or the reader might not understand as I understand the term of, let's say, the vigilantism. Then I need to explain what I mean by vigilantism, what I mean by black market. So we will be on the same page with the reader. That way the discussion will be going properly, smoothly. Now, elements of good writing. When you start your paragraph, the first one, the second one, the third one, when you write a noun, make sure that most of the noun that you use are for data. For instance, if you want to write about history, you can start with after 20 years of Reformasi. That's that phrase, after 20 years of Reformasi. 20 years is a data. Reformasi is a data. After, although that's what I mean by adjective for perspective, noun for data, and verb for analysis. After 20 years of Reformasi, people are confused whether whether our democracy has improved, for instance. If you can include, in your sentences, noun for data, verbs for analysis, adjective for perspective or opinion, then your sentences, your paragraph, your writing will consist of the most important idea and data and information and relevant. Now, of course, you need to divide your writing into sentences and paragraph. A good paragraph is the one that gives the reader an opportunity to think and to digest what you presented in that paragraph. So the change between paragraph is not just a change. It's actually an opportunity, a space, a room for the reader to think and to digest, to enjoy the dialogue with your ideas, right? Now, then after the introduction and you present the data, you need to build a strong argument. And you will have strong argument only if you, as I say, start from verified data or from well-known theory that has been used by many other scholars for different reality and proof good, right? Or tested concept as the strong foundation. And therefore, if you use math, if you use numbers, many times it will work very effective. In the US today, people talk about racism. American racism is very abstract. But if you can use number, how many black people became the victim of police brutality in comparison to the white people? If you can compare the wealth of the black and the wealth of the white, average on average, then the number will speak by itself. If you have the number, I have the number, but I cannot use it here. But my point is that if you use statistic, most of the time it will help to explain something that is very abstract, like American racism. People will understand that American society is very racist because you look at that number. Because the number of the black people who are sent to jail is way bigger than the white people. Because the number of the black people who are shot dead by the police is way bigger than the number of the white people shot dead by the police. The number of wealth, meaning or the number of unemployment among the black and the white, etc. So if you use the number statistic, it will help us very effectively. And then you use book, you use scholar, you use theory. But remember, the use of reference like books and theories are secondary. What is the more important thing here is your logic. Because it's your writing. You're arguing. Everything is based on your logic. Yes, you will use theory by others, you will use data by others, you will use concept offered by certain scholars, but everything is to support your logic, your argument. So first of all, make sure that you have strong logic. And then, usually it's very helpful for us to have historical perspective, that you discuss about certain topic, but then you also inform the reader what happened to this topic in the past, and then how it changed over time, and how we got here. So you will understand, you will inform the reader that everything is changing based on time and then influenced by other things over the time. With that, you will have confident position. You have your own self-confidence, and you know how to convince your reader. If your argument is weak, if you're not confident with your own argument, with your own position, how would you convince others, right? Okay. These are other things that how to convince the reader. You will be convincing only if you speak objectively and speak objectively based on fact. Now, when you write about something, make sure, therefore, you start from data, you have the fact, the reliable fact, and you present them into writing in a logical argument using theory, academic procedure, common sense. You can, in your writing, it can be to find the truth, something that you're not very sure about, or to demonstrate the truth, something that you strongly believe in. You know, when you're writing, it can start from the position that you know very well, your position, and you want to demonstrate to the reader. This is my position. This is the truth that I believe in. But it's not always like that. Sometimes we don't really understand. Our position is to find the truth. I mentioned earlier that your understanding of something can be better, not before, but after you writing it. So, and therefore, your piece will be consisting of the clear content and effective sentences. Okay, be precise, be bold, straightforward. You don't bullet. Okay? You don't go around and eventually confuse your own reader. Okay, I think I have I talk a lot, and there are still many other things, but let me jump into the last slide, which is conclusion. Right? A good article consists of strong introduction based on data. You know how to present the data. You know how to not only grab the attention of the reader, but also to keep it and go into the discussion, and then engage in the debate, etc. But eventually, you need to end it. You need to finish it with strong, powerful conclusion. Powerful conclusion is something that is, if it's a strike, something that knocks someone down. Say it sharply, effectively, shortly. And to have that strong conclusion, you don't jump to the conclusion. Therefore, the main part, the discussion part, is the part where we want to make sure that the reader is with us. Only if the reader is with you, even before you say your conclusion, the reader already in your position. They expect, they anticipate that the conclusion will be something. The reader can still disagree with you, but they sense where you're going, and therefore they anticipate the conclusion of your writing. So again, the conclusion is not something that you jump into, right? The discussion here serve as the bridge between the introduction and the conclusion. By jumping to the conclusion, I mean that you don't have enough discussion, you don't have enough data, you don't have enough argument, but you arrive at that conclusion. So that conclusion will not be powerful, will not be strong. Now, the reader already with you before you say the final words if your discussion works. Now, as I said earlier, maybe in most cases, that's my experience tells me, you know the issue better, not before you writing it, but after you finish writing that. Now, after we finish writing, there are some other things that you need to pay attention to. Before I publish my article, in most of the cases, I will reread probably like 20, 25 times to make sure that there's no mistake. Everybody makes mistake, but you only give it to the public only if you think that everything is perfect. Still, there are possibilities that there are some mistakes, but you do your best. You edit, every word is proper, every sentence is good, the flow from sentence to sentence, the flow from paragraph to paragraph is good. Then you're ready, to give it to the public. You need to make sure whether in your writing there's still any ineffective sentence, poor logic, typos, or other inaccuracies. You need to double check, because if there are so many typos, ineffective sentences, poor logic, something that is inaccurate, that tells the reader about who you are. You are careless. You don't really pay attention to what you're saying. Your argument will be convincing if it's just like a building. A good building is not only beautiful, but the structure is strong. And the structure is strong because every part of the structure is put in its place. That's writing is also like that. Anything that is inaccurate, anything that is incorrect, need to be double checked and fixed before you give it to the public. I mentioned earlier, write only the most important and make it sufficient. If you can write it in 5 pages, write it in 5 pages. You don't need to make it 10 pages. And it's good if you have time to get second opinion from your friend, from your family, how they read it, what is their opinion about that, whether your argument is convincing, whether, and if you are talking about something that people have very strong position about from different perspective, you need to really listen to the position that you disagree with, how they make sense of the of the problem. So even if you disagree with other people on something, you need to know how they think about that. Only if you understand the logic and the position of others, then when you present your position will be stronger, not the opposite, right? And when you finish and reread your article, ask yourself whether there is anything new in the article, any new lessons that people might benefit from your piece, whether your idea is something new, important, or challenging, or whether maybe your idea is very powerful, very good, but is it relevant? Relevant means it's related to the reality that people see. It's connected to the current issues. It's connected to something that is going on in the media or in your society. Whether you offer some solution, you don't have to always offer solution, but if you do, then is it solution? Does it make sense? What is the implication of that? Is your piece, your writing quotable? Something that, if you write on something, then people read it, then they finish reading it, ask yourself whether there is any word or any sentence that is quotable, that can be quoted, something that is impressive enough in the mind of the reader. And never pretend that you are the first to write about anything. When you write about something, you need to be aware that other people already wrote about that, already spoke about that. So you need to be aware of that, and therefore we will find the position. We don't pretend that you are the first to say about this and that. That will never happen. Okay, I think those are some of the tips that might be helpful for your writing essay, and I welcome any question if you have. You can ask the question in English or in Bahasa Indonesia, whatever, uh, as long as it's helpful for our discussion. All right. I think I will stop here, and then if there is question, we can talk more.
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Munjid, for the interesting knowledge that you give to us. So, if you want to ask a question, maybe first, you don't forget, right, if we have a quiz. So, we will start the quiz first, and then we will go through the Q&A section. So, maybe our crew who manage the quiz can show it. Okay, right. For you guys who want to join the quiz, but I hope you will join it, all of you. You can go to the website www.menti.com, and then there will be a code. The code is 9069637. Jadi kodenya itu 9069637. Kalian bisa langsung klik bentuk lognya itu untuk nunjukin kalau misalnya kalian ada partisipasi. We will wait for all the people joining us because it will be a great and a cheerful quiz. Yeah, I see you guys. To love. Alright. Semuanya jangan malu-malu, kalian bisa langsung ikut aja kuisnya. Di kuis ini kita juga bisa discuss bareng-bareng, jadi banyak banget manfaatnya konsep. Langsung aja cek ke www.menti.com. Kodenya 9069637. Ya, ini jadi ada teman kita yang udah nge-share website-nya, jadi kalian bisa langsung klik aja. Jangan sampai salah kode ya. 9069637. Okay, I see. There's a lot of you joining in. Alright, keep going. We'll start in a few seconds. Hurry up, guys, don't miss it. So we'll wait you guys to join until 4:32. Don't miss it. Don't worry, we will wait it until 4:32. All of you can join the quiz, right? Okay. All the people can join this. I see a lot of you are joining. Oh, it's interesting. Please don't miss the code, right? The code is 90 69 63 7. Okay, it's 4:32 already, so let's get started. Quiz number 1. Make an essay title from the theme of 2020. Well, you can answer it, and your name wouldn't be shown up in this, so don't worry. Oh, there is a spaced out puppy. The misfortune of the end of the decade. Let's go. Submit your answer. It's okay. From this, you can try your best. Dan ini bisa membuat kalian tuh belajar lebih untuk itu. Okay, the almost end of the world. Wow. Yogyakarta is racist, is it? 2020, a trial of doomsday. Everything that's right about 2020, none. Wow. Pandemic is not a threat. Miserable year, dear pandemic. Okay, Pak Munjid, what do you think about this great title?
Yeah, I think those are impressive, because title is like the package of your ideas. People will be interested in your article if if you if you offer an interesting title. So I think these are good example for that. So as long as you can offer something that attracts people's curiosity, provoke some more questions, or challenge the established position, that will be a good title, and those are wonderful.
Wow, right. See, your title are wonderful, guys. Let's see. There is is it the beginning of or the end? 2020, it's already choked me. Wow, it's a lot of interesting title you can see here. Let's go, guys. Just submit your title. Like, what do you think of 2020? Is it a great year for you, or it's a terrible year? COVID-19, why people are still ignorant about the pandemic? Yes. There is a 2020 a fulfilled prophecy of bad luck. Yeah, I think title with a question is really interesting. What do you think?
Yeah. Now the next step, I think, the more important thing is how do you make your interesting title into interesting article. So it's a good start. You know how to grab the attention of the reader by offering provoking title, curious title, challenging title. These are great. So you need to follow that with the next right step.
Yeah, right. Because there's a lot of participate, do their best, like they're doing a title with a question. It's a great title, I think. There is a work from home where people suffer from what it is. There's nearsightedness. 2020, I'm sorry, it has stopped working. The importance of mental health during a pandemic. COVID-19. Wow. 2020's effect on people's health, people's mental health. Yeah. Right, there is a how to keep your eyes healthy during the pandemic. It's great guys, great, keep going. Are you guys already submit all the answers so we can share it, we can what you're thinking. 2020 false program. Okay. Okay, maybe I can choose one title that we can discuss. Wow. Hmm. Okay, can we start from the start from the top? Okay.
Adinda, I was wondering whether there.
Masih kok, ini masih ada namanya. Bisa nggak di ini join now ya?
Really understand what you mean by that.
So can you
writer's block, is it what do you mean by writer's block?
Okay, you can just type up at the comment section, Laras. Like, can you describe, or you want to open up your mic? It's more easily, right? You can.
Hello, is it okay if I speak?
Yeah, of course.
Usually, hi, my name is Laras and I'm a freelance writer. And one common problem that I usually have when I start out a writing process is that a few times I will end up with writer's block. And it's been a personal struggle of mine because usually I will really get inspiration or I will get some ideas and stuff, but the moment I try to pin something down onto paper, it's kind of hard. Like,
I see.
Right?
So it's like mind block, block. Yeah. Okay. Well, I got it. Different people has different problems in writing. Okay. Some doesn't know very well how to start. Some doesn't know how to end when they already write. Some doesn't know how to make a good argument or use important data, or find a punchline. Find that problems when you don't know what to write. A good solution for that is by reading other people's writing, right? Because by reading other people's writing, you will see how different people see the same thing from different angles. Even by reading the introduction of either a chapter or a book or a blog, it might trigger the way or might remove the block that you have. Because some people say what is called as the aha movement. You know what to write. you have the data, you have the argument, but you don't know where to start. Sometimes that happens. Only after you reading other people's writing, then you got this, I know where to start. So read. It is impossible to write without reading others. So more reading will help you to remove that obstacle, the block in your mind, in your, I think that's one way to answer Lara's question. The more you read, the more you know how to start, how to make argument, how to select good data, and finally also how to end the writing, how to write a good conclusion. Did that answer your question, Laras?
Yeah, that answered my question perfectly well. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Laras.
Freedom, writing, you on free life, you're on free world, do you think? So you can use we, you can use us, you can use third person, whatever. But you need to remember that there are reasons why you use I, why you use third person and others. This is actually like an old-fashioned perspective that when you want to write objective academic writing, you don't use I. Today, it's not applicable anymore. Even if you use very academic article, you still can use I. Now, in the past, people didn't use I based on the argument that if you use that, it means you let your subjectivity into the conversation. If you speak objectively, you cannot use I. But then, since the 70s, actually there are new theories that subjectivity is not something bad. It's not something that you should be avoiding. It's okay because it happens all the time. Because you are someone, you are subject. It's impossible for you not to be subjective. But you can be aware of your bias. So use I if you like. But if somebody tells you that your argument has certain bias because you're coming from certain background, from certain social group, you're coming from a certain religious group, etc., then you should be open for that because yes, your argument, your writing is subjective because it's impossible not to be subjective. What you can do is to try to be as objective as possible, but it will never 100% objective. So use I if you like, use third person if you like, but your focus is more on whether or not your writing is effective. Your argument is strong. You have reliable data. You have powerful conclusion. And therefore, the entire writing will be convincing for your reader. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Cindy, and thank you so much, Pak Munjid. And there is another question. For me, sir, I would like to ask you questions about data. How to distinguish objective and subjective data, because some of data are made for political goal or accidentally covered up. So who is this? You can tell your name.
Okay. All right. The data. Okay, Amadeus. Data is supposed to be objective, right? Data is fact. Data is something that is there. The number of people who are infected by COVID, the number of people who died because of COVID, those are data. Those are objective. Do better. They don't look bad. Because if people emphasize more on the number of people who are dying or infected, and people might see the government is not doing their job effectively. So the government, the jubir of COVID, the spokesperson of the COVID, like to demonstrate to the public that look, the number of people who are recovering from COVID is increasing. It is good. It's we are optimistic because of that. The data is objective, but how we use that objective data many times is based on the subjective interest, like the one by our government. But what is the consequence if the number of people who are dying, the number of people who are infected is actually increasing, and we pay attention to the number who are recovering, then we're not taking seriously to prevent the number of people who are dying, to prevent the number of people who are infected. So is it okay? We are happy because the number of people who are recovering is increasing. However, if we want to do our job very seriously, pay attention to the worst. Again, our government is also like to see, look at the US. They have incredible technology, they have wonderful doctors, yet the number of people who are dying there is way bigger than us. But we don't like to see like Singapore or New Zealand who are doing better than us. Because by looking at them, then we look bad. By looking at the US, we look better, right? So it is political. So things are objective. The data are objective. But now, if you want to write something in your article, you need to be sensitive to that. A good article is an article that says something differently, opening up public's mind, pushing the discussion forward, and make people think deeper, more seriously. So, if I see the data like that the government use the data in a way that is quote unquote manipulative, then I would ask, what is the benefit of paying more attention to the people who are recovering while more people are dying and got infected? So it is, in other words, it's not helpful to really overcome the crisis because of COVID. All right, I hope that's helped.
Okay, thank you so much, Munjid, and thank you so much, Angus, for asking question. So another question is, I don't really understand with the point of never jump into the conclusion. Do we have to state again all my arguments and can we summarize it? So thank you so much, and who is it?
Okay, jumping to the conclusion means that you don't.
Cindy.
You jump to the conclusion if you didn't really discuss the subject. The conclusion can be, I agree, or I disagree, or I like, or I hate. No, before you say that I agree, or I disagree, or I like, or I hate, etc., then you make sure that you already discussed that properly in the main content of your article. Everything that you say in the conclusion should be based on the previous discussion. You already discussed it properly, and then you draw the conclusion. My experience in reading students' articles, many of them say something that is strong in the conclusion without providing proper discussion before that. That's what I mean as jump to the conclusion. Now, in everyday life, in your daily conversation with your friend, if you jump to the conclusion, you might put yourself into trouble. You know, let's say that, and you say that he is cheater or she is liar. That's conclusion, right? Now, your conclusion whether someone is cheater or liar will be acceptable only if you provide the data and argument before you come to that conclusion. You say that someone is liar because based on this fact and that, and you argue, then eventually you say he is a liar or she is a cheater, right? Only if you provide, enough argument, sufficient data, then your conclusion is acceptable. Otherwise, you jump to the conclusion. Understood? I hope you understand me.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Munjid, and thank you so much, Cindy. So we limit the question until 10 questions, and we still have another question. Should we write the concept in Indonesian language first, or we can write directly in English?
Well, whatever is more convenient for you. In writing, there is no single rule. If you feel comfortable write in English, you do it. If by writing in English there are, something that, make you like thinking like twice, or you cannot really speak your mind, or you don't find the right words for that, probably first writing in Indonesian and then translated into English will be helpful. But the point for me is whichever is more convenient and more comfortable for you, you do it. Again, this is also applicable to our daily life experience. There's no single rule for anything. Everybody has different experience, everybody has different situation, everybody has different context. Whichever is good for you, go.
Okay, we can jump to the other question. It's a little similar to the first question, but how do you finish an essay? Do you usually do a rough draft and refine it over and over, or do you use another method?
Okay. As I said, anytime I finish writing, I always read and reread my writing like 20, 25 times to make sure that my logic flow very well, my data is accurate, there's no typos, there's no discrepancies between paragraphs and sentences, that the choice of word is good, etc. So you always read and reread your writing as many times as you can before eventually you give it to other people. Because if you yourself are still troubled by your writing, imagine what will happen to others, right? If for you the choice of word is not okay, then how other people, the reader, will feel about it? So, sometimes even rereading our own writing might happen forever. There is always something wrong that I see only after I reread it. And anytime I reread my article, I always want to fix something. But that's the way we improve our skill. So usually I will, if I have a very strong uh, opinion on something, or I really want to write about something that is troubling my mind, then I sit and I write everything, and then after that I will read it and change. Sometimes to write 2 pages, it might take 10 pages. You write this paragraph, and then eventually you don't like it, you remove it, change to other. It happens all the time. So refining, reading, re-editing is the best way to make sure that your writing is enjoyable, is readable. It's something that people will like. So, in order for you to make sure that other people like your writing, first you need to like it yourself. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Manjit. And okay, since an overall formal paper can discourage people from reading, it, how casual are we allowed to be in academic essay targeted towards the general society?
Again, there is no rule, no single rule for, including for academic writing. In the in the past, people believe that academic writing is something that is cold, that is impersonal, that is very objective. But today, people's perception and understanding of that has changed a lot. So the good paper for me is not determined by whether it is using subjective perspective or objective perspective, but whether or not the whole argument is convincing. The data that is used is reliable. The sources referred in that article is reliable. So again, for me, my suggestion for you is not to pay attention too much on, whether formal writing should be like this or that. You know, for for me, you write what is really important for you. Write any way you like it, as long as you believe that is strong, that is convincing, and it's really deliver your ideas. You really speak up your mind. You say what you got to say. Okay?
Okay, there is still 4 question more. I'm a university student majoring in international relations as a political science student writing argumentative essay. Is our daily assignment throughout the classes? Many of our lecturers advise to avoid direct rhetorical questions is in our essay and to reverse them as a statement or as indirect question. However, I often find direct rhetorical questions in some published academic essay. What are your opinion on this issue?
Well, I mentioned this several times now that you don't stick to one rule to apply to everything. If you think rhetoric question is good, you can use it. If statement is more effective, use it. So for me, there is no single rule for anything, right? I think I mentioned earlier that a rhetoric question can be very effective if that trigger the reader's curiosity to what you're going to say in the essay. Let's say that I think earlier I provide you with example that did you know that the number of people died because of mosquitoes is way bigger the number of people who died because of the tiger, for instance. Something that is, I think, provoking for some people because people think that tiger is much more dangerous than mosquito. So the assumption is that therefore the number of victims of tiger or lion should be bigger. But in fact, the number of people who died because of mosquitoes is way bigger than that. It means mosquitoes is way more dangerous. But most of the people are not aware of that. So by asking rhetoric question, did you know that, this and that? So that will really provoking, and people will rethink. Really, is it a fact? And as long as you can provide with reliable sources, then people will be with you. So whether or not rhetoric question is effective, whether or not a statement is more effective, it depends on the context. It depends on how you use it. So again, writing is the free world. You enjoy your freedom there. Use your freedom there effectively, so you can deliver your message, your argument, your perspective effectively, right?
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Munjid. So that was the last question. And
Okay.
thank you so much for all who already give a question. And I hope that question can be a new knowledge for you and sharing for us too. And yeah, this is the end of the workshop. And ternyata banyak banget ya yang bisa dipelajari dari workshop ini. First, how to deal with the problem around you or the trouble when you do the essay. Well, we can fix all the problem. And now you did know how to pick up your topic from knowing your interest, find your right angle, and don't mind any disagreement. And please don't forget to setting your goals, such as the question and your target of audience. And saya benar-benar mengucapkan terima kasih banyak kepada Pak Munjid selaku pembicara dan kepada peserta yang sudah meluangkan waktu dan tenaganya untuk mengikuti ini. Once again, thank you so much, Pak Munjid.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the workshop.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the knowledge. The knowledge is really great. The education is really great. The tips and tricks is really great. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And don't forget to thank you so much to our media partner, webseminar.id, webinarin.id, infoevent.indonesia, Seminarland, Jules Media, info_event.id. And this is our next event, so don't forget to join our event. The first thing is the online exhibition, the art online exhibition. You can register yourself through the website bit.ly/exhibition UN2020. Don't forget to register because it's a free registration. And absolutely, our essay writing competition. You can register yourself through the website. You can capture it or you can note it on your phone, on your notebook, so you don't miss the registration.
Aku pamit dulu ya.
Oke, thank you so much Pak Munjid. Terima kasih banyak Pak
Ya,
Munjid.
terima kasih.
Oke, jadi jangan sampai lupa semuanya untuk ikutan our next event. Dan terima kasih banyak yang udah ngeluangin waktunya untuk ikutan workshop kita. And jangan lupa kalau misalnya ada day 2 besok. So, see you tomorrow in day 2. Bye-bye. See you.
See you.
Thank you. See you, Putras. Thank you. Thank you so much. See you.
Gak ada yang mau bicara kan?
Thank you so much, Dini. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Don't forget there is a day 2. Hey, Renata, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, all the crew. Yay! Yay!
Nggak ada yang mau keluar yang lain.
Okay. If you want to dismiss, you can dismiss.
Ada nih. Tapi nggak ganti.